Okay, moving forward, let's talk about the toolbar and how to navigate in Photoshop. The toolbar is located over here on our left. I'm going to actually slide our canvas over. Set up a small brush. Tools we will be using. First off, I'll see what photo, I call it the manipulator. They call it the move tool. Okay. The move tool will allow you to move layers. Okay, so if I turn this layer back on and I activate the move tool, I will be able to drag it. You can see that I have a toolbar that changes down here in the corner. If I pull diagonally on it, I can scale it up or down. And it turns into a rotate symbol. I can rotate it. Once you've transformed or manipulated a layer like this, it's going to be what they call free transformed, which means it's going to have a blurry impact. To get it to go back to its native state, you have to hit a brush tool, or you could hit another layer. And that would do it. If I hold the Shift key before I drag this, I can stretch and distort. It doesn't do a uniform scale. Okay? And once again, to commit that transform back into a high resolution image, either the paintbrush or click on another layer and go back. So that's your move and manipulate, or another good word for it would be transform. As you're about to find out in your Rhino class, anything in a software program that changes the shape or position of geometry or an object, or in this case a layer, is considered a transform. Keyboard shortcut is V. If I hit the, if I'm in the brush here, if I hit V on my keyboard, you will see that light up. See? B will bring back the brush. V will bring back the manipulator. Next tool. I'm going to use a different color pen so that it's not as close to the other layer color. Also going to back the brush size down to 3. This is a selection tool. Photoshop calls it the Marquee, rectangular marquee or Marquee Tool. Okay, this allows you to make a selection in a rectangular format. The keyboard shortcut for that is M. So if I hit M, it activates it, or I can just click on it with my stylus. Once I have that, I can drag a selection window, any shape or size I wish. All right. Once I've done that, the only part of the canvas that can be impacted with anything is inside of this selected area. So if I go back to my brush, anything I do will stop at the parameters of that selection. It's also, if you want to clear or cut, I can put down a new selection using that tool. And I could either cut. I've never used clear for this, but yes, clear will work as well. The difference between cut and clear is cut puts a copy of what you just removed on your Windows clipboard so you can paste it in later. Clear does not. So to show you what cut will do, if I cut, which remember is a Windows shortcut of Control X. If I paste it back in and then use my Move tool, I can then play with that part I cut away. By the way, once you cut and paste something in, it becomes another layer. You can see it here now. All right, so that's your selection or marquee tool. Then you have your lasso selection. Lets you create a selection in this fashion. When it's going to close, you'll see a little circle appear that shows you will have a closed selection. And just like the rectangular selection, things can only happen inside. And then if you wanted to, you could either cut or copy. If you just copy, Control C, and paste, hit the Move tool, you'd have two of them. Okay? I am not clicking up here anymore. I'm using the keyboard shortcut. When I say use the Move tool, I'm using the V shortcut. When I'm going to use the marquee selection, I will use M. Lasso select is L. We don't use the magic wand at our level of the course. Cropping allows you to actually change the size of your image. So let's say I only wanted an image as big as this. Now the challenge is going to be I'm going to have to zoom out. And no, you don't know how to zoom yet. Drag the bars and right-click, crop. And now that's as big as my canvas is, and I've lost everything else. Okay, so that's crop. Not using dropper yet, but we'll use it in the future. Dropper allows you to do a colored sample, and the keyboard shortcut for that is I, but actually what I use is Alt. If you have the paintbrush active or the bucket tool active and you hold down the Alt key, it becomes the eyedropper. Next tool is our brush. We've learned all about the brush. That's a B, shortcut B. Eraser. Don't get it confused with the healing brush. It looks kind of similar. Eraser. Shortcut for that is E. Paint bucket. Has a shortcut that makes no sense to me. It's a G. Paint bucket will allow you to fill an area all in one color. Well, there are several options actually, but we're going to use it for now only with solid color. So I drag a selection, and I bucket fill. I hit G or click on it. It perfectly fills that. Okay? Won't be using this or this or this or that or that. This is text, and I believe the shortcut is T. Text is just what it sounds like. You can create a line of text by hitting it with your mouse and then typing. You can set different typefaces, colors of text, the whole 9 yards. We will get into this more later in the semester. So that leaves two last buttons on here for us to consider. And this is going to be what we spend the rest of this on. Panning is moving canvas. Not your layers, your canvas. Your whole Photoshop world. The shortcut for that is spacebar. If you just hold down the spacebar, oops, and drag. The benefit of the shortcut is that if I am drawing and I want to pan while I'm drawing, I can hold down the space bar, pan over here, and when I let go, it goes back to a drawing tool. Zoom has more to it than pan does. Keyboard shortcut, the simple one is Z. If you hit Z, you get this magnifying glass. Alt to zoom out. So if I have the zoom tool and I hold down my Alt key, as long as I hold it down, it becomes the zoom out tool. So zoom in, hold down the Alt key, zoom out. Now in theory, it's supposed to zoom in around what you hold the mouse to. It kind of does, it kind of doesn't. It's important to notice that you get the set zooming in. It's at 100% right now. Now it's at 200%. If I click, it's back to 100, 66.7, 50%, 33.3, okay? It's not going to do a smooth zoom. It's going to take you to steps. That has to do with the nature of pixels and the way the canvas is built. If you allow it to do that, you will get the crispest images. You can zoom to in between zoom levels, but when you do, your image will be more blurry. To zoom in between, you just hold the button. You click on what you want to zoom in on, like this E, and just hold your mouse there, or your pen tip. And when you want to zoom out, hold down Alt, and just hold. When you release, it'll stop. And you'll see that won't be a set thing. That's 406%. That is not one of Photoshop's favorites. That's 94.7. So when you do that kind of continuous zoom and unzoom, you're going to get a slightly blurrier looking image. As soon as you click, though, it'll go back to one of its favorites that are the crisper version. Okay? So that's using the default zoom shortcut. That's not my favorite one. I like to use Control plus spacebar. As long as I hold that down, I have a zoom in. To zoom out, it's Control plus Alt plus spacebar. Now the reason I like this is it allows me to go back and forth when I'm working, just like I did with the pan tool. Favorite jewelry motif. And I'm doing the Control plus Shift spacebar, and that allows me to come in really tight. I like using that. Any of these are fine. And like I said, you can just click on the zoom button and then use the Alt key to change it to zoom out. So that is everything you need to know about Toolbar for what we'll be doing, as well as how to navigate around your scene. Okay, what if you want to get the whole thing to fit at once? Fit to screen. To get your image to fit to the entire screen is Control O. Control 0. That will make it so it fits in its original position. Now I want to talk about undo and redo. Okay, undo is Control Z. Each time I hit Control Z, it will undo one step. It is not unlimited. It depends on the memory power of your computer. Sometimes, and it depends on how complicated what you did was. There is a buffer in Photoshop that determines how much you get to keep. So save your file frequently in case undo doesn't rescue you. A redo is Control Shift Z. This is unlike normal windows. Would be normal windows, would be Control Y. Doesn't work. Control Z, Control Y, doesn't do anything. It changes the color mode to CMYK, which is very dangerous. You want it to stay RGB. So don't use the normal Windows redo. Use the Photoshop Special, Control plus Shift plus Z. That's a good spot to end this portion. We've covered the toolbar, we've covered navigating, and we've covered undo and redo.